Hi guys, Virginia here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today. This one is using the August Kitaholic kits and I wanted to kind of focus on these stamps. The leaves and the heart on the stamps. And I wanted to use them to kind of bring in a bit of little elegant, pretty detail, I guess. Amongst my clusters of leaves and stuff that I intended to use. Now I did also intend to use this Weekend Vibes. It's one of the exclusive cut files for August, but I don't end up using it. That completely gets put to the side and I just kind of focus on the products in the kit. So anyway, what I'm doing is I am going to do some gold embossing with my stamps, and I've taken the little leaf fronds, I've cut them apart. Shock horror. It's fun, you can always put them back together on your acrylic block if you want to, but anyway, I have a bit of vellum and I have used my anti-static powder tool. I have been very generous with the powder because acetate and vellum are quite known for having the embossing powder stick to them, and I have also, because the stamps are brand new, kind of primed them a little bit on my back of my hand. I don't know whether you saw that, it's shooting by very quickly, but I just kind of rub them over my hand and that kind of primes them so you get a good even coverage. So then I just use my Versamark ink, stamp them down. You need to be mindful when you're working on vellum and acetate with stamps in Versamark or any kind of embossing ink. It's quite slippery, so you want to kind of push it down, hold it down firmly, and then lift it straight back up because you kind of get a bit of a smear. And that's what I did with the XOXO stamps. Because it was such a large stamp and there was a lot of embossing ink, it kind of slid around, so I couldn't get a very crisp image on that, so I don't end up using the XOXO. Okay, so I've done that. Skipped through, I did a few hearts, 3 hearts, and I think 8 of those little leaf fronds, and gold heat embossing with some Ranger Gold Superfine embossing powder, and they came out beautifully. So I'm going to choose a few pattern papers. I decided to go with kind of a square design on my page. I've chosen 3 papers, the pink or corally coloured leaf design, and then we've got the black with the leaves and flowers, which is beautiful, and then that Heidi Swap kind of watercolour wash in bluey, greeny, aqua, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, going for a square design. So I've done this quite a few times. I've done it with like frames and stuff, but I decided I would leave the papers whole just to make my life a little bit easier. And I'm just going to go about cutting my squares. So this first square in the watercolour is 6.5. I think I ended up cutting it. And then this one here, the black print, when I flip it over, it will be 7.5. I'm just double checking that that's how I want it. So this one will be 7.5. So there'll be theoretically half an inch showing around each side of each of the squares. And then this one will go up to 8.5. And that'll be my final layer. Okay, so I am centering it, and this is my original idea, to have them all straight, and then I thought, no, we'll try an angle, and I fluff around a little bit with this, and I remember my cut file, so I try to fit that in, but looking at it, I didn't like that cut file. It wasn't quite doing it for me on this layout, so it just kind of gets put to the side, and I'm sure I will use it at some stage. It'll go on my pile of cut files to be used. Okay, so here I am still fluffing with the papers, and of course it ends up back in the centre. That first one ends up straight, that second layer will be a bit off kilter, and then that watercolour one will be slightly off kilter as well, but my photos will be straight. So I'm going to adhere down my first layer straight, well, as straight as my eyes think it is. I'm just kind of winging it, and then I'll press it down, and I haven't put adhesive right up to the edges so I can pull up those edges just to give a bit of shadows on the page, dimension, texture, all that lovely stuff. Okay, so I've backed my second layer with a giant piece of adhesive foam, And I'm going to stick that down with ATG and glue. There you go, and put that on a bit of an angle, and again just pull up those edges. Okay, and my final layer, I'm going to back that with foam as well. So we have a rather dimensional layout, but it's great for tucking bits and pieces in between each of the layers. Okay, add some ATG, and I'll add glue as well, just to be sure. And we'll put that one down, and I'm going to pull up those edges as well. Rightio, my two photos. The photos of Eddie, of course, playing at the park. Yeah, I just thought the background there was trees and grass and a lot of greenery, so I felt like it would go great with this kit. So I'm going to mat them just on a single layer of pattern papers, and I wanted to bring in some more of that black, just to bring in some more colour, and it's just a lovely print. So that's kind of tying the photos in with that background paper. So I'm just trimming it up a bit because I didn't want it quite so wide. And I'm going to grab my T-square ruler and line it up just so that my photos are straight. Or that paper mat is straight. There we go. Rightio, so now I can start embellishing. So I'm just pulling in all the bits that I want to use. I contemplated these Kaiser Craft wood veneer tags. But because of the gold and the delicate nature of that vellum, I felt like they were a bit masculine. Maybe. Would that be the right? Yeah, a bit masculine, a bit too outdoorsy for my layout. So they get taken off. But I'm going to go through the, I was going to say Good Vibes. It's Wild Heart, Crepe Paper Wild Heart die cut pack. And just pulling out bits that I like the look of. So I've got a leaf down the bottom right, and then that little card that says Paradise. I like the idea of that because Eddie loves playing at the park. It's kind of her paradise, so I just tuck that down there. And a frame down that bottom right, just to bring some colour and to make it a bit heavier down the bottom. Give a bit of weight to that area. A gold and white tag at the top. You can see I'm clearly bringing in 3 clusters here. A butterfly, and I've got a heart down the bottom left. And I did cut up one of the little journaling pieces that said live in a dream. I just cut that off. I liked the idea of the holes punched out of it. It just makes things feel quite haphazard, and yeah, so I've tucked that in. Now I'm going to go through the 12 by 12 chipboard and pull out a few leaves just to scatter them in amongst those clusters. So we've got a green one down the bottom right and another green, a couple of green down the bottom right as well, and then one up the top left. And I'm going to tuck a black one up here. And these are all getting kind of tucked in between each of the layers, so they're all at different heights on the page, which is casting lovely little shadows. A little banner that says Wild at Heart. I'm going to tuck that down by the butterfly. And I also did pull off another chipboard heart and layered that on top of that heart down the bottom left, just to bring a bit of dimension and more colour and more weight to that cluster down the bottom left. And now I finally remembered my little vellum stamp shape, so I'm going to start adding them. So I'm going to add a heart to each of those clusters, just for kind of continuity. And I gave up on the XOXO because it just didn't look very clear. So I'm going to glue those hearts down, and then I'm going to start to glue the rest of these clusters down before everything starts moving. I'm going to peel up my photos a little bit so I can tuck that tag in a bit further, and then I will glue down my leaves. Just trying to position them where I think they look good. Okay, so my large green one, and then a little black one, and then with the hearts I can kind of layer them on top of each other. I will adhere this is it a tag? No, it's just a card. Down with some ATG. I'm going to pop 2 layers of adhesive foam behind the left of that heart cluster, just to make sure it stays propped up, doesn't get squished down. I'll tuck my little vellum heart there. And I'm just putting glue on the bits of the vellum that isn't going to be seen, so the bits that are tucked under the clusters. Just continuing to glue things down. This was a really simple and quick process, which is why I kind of just left it in. I love layouts that come together really quickly like this, that take very little thinking. I'm not going to glue down all of that frame. I like the idea of bits of it sticking up, so I'm just going to put glue in a couple of places. And yeah, so now I'm going to adhere down my little leaves. Just kind of tuck them in and putting glue right at the edge, and then just pushing them under and just using my tweezers just to kind of push it down. And then they kind of curl up at the edge, and it's lovely. It's a lovely little soft detail in amongst those clusters. So I didn't make you watch all of that. So we skip to, and my title, I guess, is going to be Smile. I just like the idea of it, and it goes back to I originally tried it on the photo, and then tried it everywhere else, and then decided I actually quite liked it on the photos, so it gets put back there. A few sprinklings of Gold Hide Swap Colour Shine just around those 3 clusters, just to add a bit of colour, break up that whiteness on the background, and then some gold thread just through this gold mite tag, and I'm going to tie it in a little gold bow. Gold bow. Gosh, it's been a long day. It's 5 o'clock. Yeah, I'm going to tie it in a little bow and then just glue down those ends so that they don't go all over the place. But that's it for my layout. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.